This video here, I came across it the other day. It's very interesting. It's called Male Feminists Hate Women. Now, I think Vaush is the main attraction here of this video. Okay. Vaush has become a little bit of a lol cow. Am I using that word right? I feel like that's kind of true. Vaush is a smart guy, but people, he's a little bit of a meme. You know, he's been a little bit of a meme lately. He's being a little too intellectual lately. Okay, a little too based. I watched about a minute of this and I left, so we're gonna watch the rest on stream. All right. So this is called Male Feminists Hate Women, and it's by the Authentic Observer. Let's go.
Vaush.
Well, see, he starts off with Vaush.
Oh, Vaush.
By the way, serious question: is it Vaush or Vaush? Because I see so many people saying Vaush, and I feel like they're saying that just to. Are they saying that just to be? Just to be facetious? Theseus? I don't know.
Vaushy, Vaushy, Vaush.
Vaush?
Darling, you shouldn't have 50 minutes all for me. You really know how to make a girl feel special. Though, darling, I will be honest. You
I'm sure he does.
could have been kinder and used a more flattering picture. You're not playing fair. That was a little naughty of you. It almost hurt my feelings.
If anyone makes an expression like this at the camera at any point, it's legally okay to be sexist towards them.
What? Okay. I mean, I agree, but no, I'm just kidding. Interesting take. It's just weird because like you can randomly stop at any time, and you know how many times I catch people lacking with some weird, they're looking all weird. Happens all the time. Just saying.
Oh, stop. What are you like? You're making me blush already.
Gonna condescend to me? That's okay. I'm going to evoke several millennia of oppression against you. That's fair.
I hear you, and fair enough. But let's not forget, I only condescended to you in the
I mean, is he just being? Is he just making jokes, or what's happening here?
first place after you patronised women as a collective. Women be quieter and start apologising with your precise words.
I think that was a joke. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Vaush, but I think that he was joking to J.K. Rowling. It comes off a little tone deaf, but I think he was making a joke because J.K. Rowling would, I guess, double down on whatever. I don't even know what the fuck's going on. She's transphobic, apparently. I don't even know if that's true. I mean, who isn't transphobic nowadays, apparently? You know what I mean? But okay.
It wasn't me who started with the disrespect, but I suppose it's neither here nor there at this point. After your 50 minutes, we're definitely on pet names now. I'll call you darling, and you can call me what you like after that performance.
Okay.
Well, I say that. You've already taken the liberty. I believe bitch was your preferred term for me.
Shut up, bitch.
Not something I'd have
Got
chosen
her.
for myself, but hey, whatever gets
Sorry.
you going.
Stupid fucking bitch.
Yes, everybody.
Jesus Christ. Why? Why so much vitriol? Vaush?
You might recall that in my desecration of femininity video, I gave
It seems like it started off as a joke, and now he's just getting serious about it. Is it that he can't take criticism? What's happening here?
Vaush a special mention, using him as an example of that particular kind of male feminist who is actually just a massive misogynist. So
True.
Vaush, being an intelligent man...
Let's be honest here. Listen, man, constantly is happening. You could write a laundry list of people who utilize really any form of activism just to get close, just for like pussy. I mean, I could see why people would get that impression from Vaush. I've interacted with so many people like that. You got like Modern Warrior, you got your Joe Robes, you got your turtleneck emo. I know these people that a lot of you guys probably don't know who I'm talking about. Those are I got the wrong thing. Damn it. Those are probably very obscure for most of you. But yeah, they're not wrong.
Decided to do a response where he disproved my point.
I'm going to evoke several millennia of oppression against you. Stupid fucking bitch.
Yeah, it was an interesting response, wasn't it, darling? In all seriousness, I do have to thank you for proving my point about you so thoroughly. I don't think some people quite understood what I meant when I talked about how a big chunk of male feminists despise femininity and are often the most appalling towards women. Far worse than almost any conservative guy I've ever come across, genuinely. But you've so wonderfully demonstrated exactly the kind of behaviour I was talking about.
It's so funny because Hassan did something similar to Gideon. He's like, yeah, man, like, at least when people... he said something along the lines of, like, you know, when people are being racist to me, at least I know where they stand. But, like, when Hassan, like, opened up Gideon's video where he went to the most racist town in Texas, and Hassan's like, oh, you're just basically... you're just whitewashing this, and you don't really care about black issues, even though he's a black guy. So, it does seem like there's a pattern of people that, like, they don't really give a fuck about any of the groups they talk about. It just makes them feel intellectual. So...
You see, ladies and gentlemen...
Hold on, I'm gonna read this one.
Nice Georgia 24.
Hey, thanks for the sub, brother.
For 5 months.
All right.
What I touched on in my last scripted video was that particular type of man I've had the misfortune to
I'll get to your thing after this. Sorry about it.
Run into a few times. Men like this, weak men, I suppose we could call them, lack the balls to just admit how they...
Let me tell you, though, really quick. I know I'm interrupting a lot. I'll try not to do so much, but let me just tell you, bro. Like, my wife does not like Vaush, all right? Since the first conversation I had with him, which went pretty well, she's like, I get a weird feeling about him. And, you know, I don't mean to bring up the whole... I'm not trying to bring up past stuff that's going on with him, but she was kind of right. You know, like he had the whole thing where he was pestering people in Discord for sexual gratification, even though they were like, hey, I don't want to do this. And then instead of apologizing, saying, sorry, I went too far, he went with the route of like, you just don't understand the context. And I was just pushing past known boundaries. So, I mean, you know, women have a sixth sense about shitty men. I'm just saying.
Really feel about women, so they hide behind the label of feminist to be as sexist as they like, and then claim
I'm just sexist. I don't even hide behind. Like, what do you? Women are fucking useless. You know what I'm saying?
Criticism, but they're doing it all in the name of women's rights.
True.
You know, I can at least appreciate the honesty of the old school misogynist, but this new breed where they try to camouflage themselves as something else is so slimy and underhand that it's really quite difficult to stomach. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've always found it difficult to respect cowards. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I am Galatea, and this is Aces, my dearly departed. And today, Vaush has kindly volunteered to be the case study for why male feminists actually just really, really, really hate women.
Wow.
Oh, also he called me a groomer.
Do you think that they actually hate women, or do you think that they just like to use women's issues? Like, I wonder what it is, because there's some people who legitimately defend women. Like, look at somebody like Ryan Beard. You know, Ryan Beard... He would probably consider himself a feminist, although I guess he's not binary, not male. I don't know how that specifically would work. But he's a genuine guy, you know? So I wonder if it's just more like, oh, I can protect you, you weak woman or something. Is that what it is?
So there's that. So just a quick little disclaimer before we begin. I'm not talking about your everyday guy who calls himself a feminist because he believes that women should have equal rights, okay? I'm really talking about the activist types. The ones who shout the loudest and tell women, you will be liberated, goddammit, even if I have to mistreat you in order to do it. Those guys. And this is not a video shitting on men either. This is definitely not the majority of men that I'm talking about. But the rotten apples do exist, and most of them seem to be calling themselves feminists these days. So, disclaimer over? Good. Let's get into the video.
Cougar. Vaush doesn't believe in English people. To be honest with you, so far, I mean, as we're watching this, it's... I mean, like, it's making me like Vaush. Of course, English people don't exist. You know what I'm saying?
So, Vaush, I know you're a very serious intellectual man, far too important to waste much time on a frivolous little thing like me. And by frivolous, I of course mean female, but don't you worry, we'll get to issues with women later. For now, Vaush, your rebuttals to my points. What went wrong, my love? I didn't expect much from you, I will be honest, so I'm shocked that I actually still managed to be disappointed. That's what she said. I was expecting something a little more hard-hitting than, I'm faking my accent?
Her accent is such a performance. Oh yeah, her accent is 100% being put on for the sake of the video.
Interesting angle, but I think we can work with it. So, apparently Vaush doesn't believe in English people.
What? I wonder if he's just joking.
Like, I think he thinks we're a myth.
Why? Why would he say that? He's got to be kidding or something. That just seems like a weird thing to say. Okay.
You know, like unicorns or mermaids or honest male feminists. So, bit background, because apparently you need it. Far across the ocean, there's a place called Britain. You might have heard of us. We used to be quite big fish back in the day, did a lot of noteworthy things, big impact on world events. Actually quite an important place in terms of your own country's history. You should really look into it. And in Britain...
Yeah, because we fucking owned you. Got him! Boom!
There's a place called England. And in England, some people talk like this. Crazy, I know.
Yeah, I don't think she would sound like this if you talked to her like casually in real life.
I think the problem is that Vaush is finding her accent attractive. And so he needs to make her seem less attractive to himself so that, I don't know, I guess he has to deprogram himself because he wants to fuck everything in existence. I mean, that's typical Vaush, you know? Typical Vaush. He wants to, so I think that that's really kind of where we're getting at here, is that he's turned on by her accent. So if it's fake, though, then he's less turned on by her, okay? I think that's what it is.
Okay, so I can tell you're still not getting it. For reference, here are some other British people you might have come across.
I'm not like a voice expert, so I don't know for sure, but something about it feels like...
I didn't want to have to play this card, but you brought it up. So if we're going there, I do have to point out that out of the two of us, I speak English with the correct pronunciation. It's our language, we make the rules. You're the one with the stupid accent, not me, you cheeky yank.
I love Americans, you're beautiful people. Yeah? You're simple folk, aren't you?
I jest, I jest.
You guys do sound like shit, though. Let's be honest. All right, we've appropriated that language. You know, this is actually like really good proof that. Yeah, I know we like to talk about how like America colonizes and stuff, but like realistically, we colonized equally. I mean, we stole their fucking shitty ass voice. You know, we made it our own. We made it better, just like America does for everything. We make everything better, bro. We're just the best, greatest, number one in the world, baby. Our language now, baby.
Vaush knows about Britain because he seems to really hate us.
Jesus. Yeah, thank you.
He hates the British almost as much as he hates women, so I am two of his least favourite things.
We do, in fact, hate British women.
See, knowing how much Vaush despises my people only makes me want to be even more British. I can feel it. I can feel it rising up. Suddenly, I have the urge to go to America and stick a Union Jack in the soil. Go to a 4th of July celebration dressed as St. George, or to an American football game and start shouting that it's just rugby for pussies. Loudly sing Rule Britannia during the national anthem, that sort of thing.
We make more money, baby. We make more money playing pussy rugby, so fuck you. All right? I guess it's interesting, though, because the MMA has kind of displaced boxing. I wonder why rugby hasn't displaced football. I think it's because it's already, like, so dangerous.
God, I didn't know I had it in me, but suddenly that old invader spirit is possessing me. The British are coming! The British are coming!
Does this person think they're in James Bond? The Authentic Observer does sound like the kind of video title.
Ah, 007. I've been expecting you. I liked that. That felt fun. Thank you, Vaush. I have to incorporate that into my intro. God, he's full of good ideas, isn't he? We meet again, Mr. Bond. Oh, no, sorry. I'm doing your bit, aren't I? I'll be James Bond. You be the villain. Come on, Vaush. Let's do a bit of roleplay. Cheeky. Grab a cat. I know you have a cat. I've seen the cat. There's a cat. Of course, of course. Oh.
This feels a little flirty. Feels a little flirtatious here. Just saying. Just saying.
Of course he's a bloody cat person. Of course he is. Typical. Grab your cat, though.
Grab him by the pussy.
Do the whole shebang. Go on, have a cheeky spin on a chair. Hit us with the, I've been expecting you. Go on, you know you want to. It's tiring work telling women to shut up on Twitter all day. Let your hair down for once, love. You deserve it. Ooh, put on an accent, too. Let's see if your fake English accent is better than my fake English accent, and people can judge who wins in the comments. In all seriousness. Please, can you actually do it, Vaush? Humour me. Do the chat spin. I'll beg if you want me to. Please.
Okay. Vaush doesn't get on playing a character. Doesn't that possibly verify what he's saying about your accent, though? Vaush just... stupid Vaush. He doesn't realize I'm playing a character. It's like, well, then he says that you're just doing a voice. And then now you're like, this is my real voice, by the way. I'm just acting. It's... Listen, man. I don't know. It's this isn't the best Vaush shit piece that I've ever seen, okay?
That is such a practice gesture. Like, I'm gonna slow this down.
That's it, the game's up. I didn't want to have to tell you guys this, but I do in fact script my videos. I know.
Scripting your videos is different from playing a character. But...
This is news to everyone.
Like, it's a very, very, very practice gesture.
This persona isn't even truly me. I try so hard to hide it, but you can't fool Detective Vaush. He's too clever for that.
You can, like, break it down. There were, like, 3 lip curls, like, 2 distinct head shakes, like...
He knew something fishy was going on, and he put together those clues to see through my clever disguise.
Shab. I deserve it. He's lying. He's Count Olaf.
These aren't even real glasses. It's like at the end of Scooby-Doo when the villain is unmasked.
Just as we thought.
And I would have gotten away with it too. Impressive detective work, Vaushie. Well done, mate. Can't pull one over on you.
Well done, matey. I just want to be sexually harassed. Incredible.
So I'm sorry if my points have seemed childish so far, but a good chunk of Vaush's arguments being a generous word, involve picking apart my accent, my appearance, my outfit, and my persona. You know, all the things 12-year-old girls go for when they're feeling particularly bitchy. So it's difficult to be serious when I'm not given anything serious to work with. And then, because apparently he really wanted to prove my point about male feminists, he said this.
She's a pick-me. No wonder she's dressed like this. She's wearing a fucking skirt with stockings. She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed by, like, the fucking... the office boys.
I'm sorry?
It's a little rough, man, because if you're trying to be a male feminist, you know, look what she's wearing, she's asking for, it doesn't really... Like, yeah, in this context, it's still fundamentally, oh, look what she's wearing. She's just, like, she's a pick-me, judging her based on what she's wearing. I don't know. Feels a little bit anti-feminist here, a little bit. Okay. It's a little suspicious. It looks like this is just her character. She probably just dresses like this all the time. Whatever. Okay.
I beg your pardon, sir. What was that? What do I want?
She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed.
Yes, Vaush.
Nice.
You caught me. I just want to be sexually harassed.
Yeah, that's also pretty bad. She just wants to be sexually harassed. Isn't that the? I think that's the male perspective we're trying to fight against. Not we. I don't give a fuck. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, that's like the perspective that's trying to be contested. But okay, you're just really just telling her that she's dressed like that for the satisfaction of shitty men. But all I can say is it couldn't be me.
From how I'm dressed. That's all I want. I'm a bit of a slut for unwanted advances.
No wonder she's dressed like this.
I can't believe I have the nerve. It's obscene. I'm practically flaunting myself with these nylons and this skirt.
She's wearing a fucking skirt with stockings.
What did I tell you though? Vaush wants to fuck her. That's his whole thing. That's why that's like this hypersexual outfit to him, because he wants to fuck her, because he wants to fuck everything that moves. Incredible, because he's a true alpha male. And he's really good in bed. And if you don't know, I heard that from him, because apparently his entire town almost offed themselves because when he came off of the Tinder market, because he's good at having sex. He's so good at the sex. So
how dare I? Going around dressed like the whore I am.
Good at the
I'm just
sex.
inviting trouble. I'm asking for it. I obviously want it. I'm begging for it.
oh my god.
Like, you know, like just the short skirt plus like the stockings and so on.
I'll tell you something else about me while we're on the topic. I found going through puberty so horrific and disgusting and shameful that for years afterwards I could hardly stand to be touched, even by members of my own family. I don't know why. I was especially sensitive to this. I have no idea. I was, though. And for a long time, my littlest sister was the only person I could bear to hug. It was quite an issue. Made all that sexual harassment that happened as a teenager fuck with my head more than was reasonable, I think. And then there was that one time with a boy when things went a little further than just some playful sexual harassment, which of course only made everything worse. And then what used to happen to me when I was with a guy is that sometimes I would freeze up and not be able to move. And in my head, there'd just be this loud, blind panic going around and around and around, but I couldn't even make myself speak. So what I used to do in my teens and early 20s to deal with that was get so blind drunk that I felt completely disconnected from my body, and sometimes I had to do that to even be able to kiss a guy. But often, not even the alcohol would stop the freezing up and the disgust and the panic. And then, of course, there was how sick I felt after someone touched me, even if I wanted them to. But yes, Vaush, you're right.
Damn, really trauma dumping on us. Jesus. All jokes aside, I mean, I know people will probably be like, well, he's just joking about her dressing and stuff. That's could be true, could be false. It doesn't really matter, because again, like if you're going to engage in like the male feminist sphere, you have to understand that like jokes like that can still be very damaging. Because what's the difference between saying that and saying like, oh, it's just a joke, it's like a rape joke, you know, which it borders on, considering he's saying that she wants to be sexually harassed. So, yeah.
I just want to be sexually harassed like the stupid bitch I am.
Stupid fucking bitch.
Maybe I should feel bad throwing all that at you after what was just a clumsy, shitty comment on your part. But I don't, because a main topic of the video you reacted to was about how suddenly being...
You don't think he's joking with his tone of voice? I don't know. I push out pretty dry humor, but then again, I also make sure, like, after I make a joke to say, like, I'm kidding, or to, like, really hype up my laugh so you know I'm joking, you know, because I know I'm very dry, and I don't want people to take things the wrong way when I make, like, a joke. Because I'm not trying to like offend people. I just like to make a silly shock humor joke, and they're like, I'm just kidding, you know, like I don't really feel this way, you know, because I also don't want to attract people who actually think that if I make like a edgy, slightly bigoted joke, then I'm actually bigoted, you know. So maybe he's joking, although maybe he's being serious and he's just using the fact that he's always very dry as like as an excuse. You know, either is possible.
Sexualized is so stressful and confusing as a teenage girl, how it made my skin crawl with disgust at my own body and made puberty really quite traumatic for myself and indeed many teenage girls. And then learning how to balance the hatred of that with wanting to celebrate femininity and beauty, with wanting to be attractive and not wanting to hide away. But you wouldn't know that, because in all your blinding arrogance, you barely watched more than 5 minutes of the video before deciding you could somehow speak on it and all my opinions.
Wait, he watched 5 minutes of the video, and did he watch the whole thing that she made, the other video? Huh. He didn't watch the whole thing, huh? Very suspicious.
So actually, I think you deserve that. The other reason I don't feel bad...
Jokes have to be funny, though. Jokes are... Well, I mean, fundamentally, jokes... The humor is subjective. I didn't find his joke particularly funny. If it was a joke about how she just wants to get sexually harassed on the show of Mad Men, But it's kind of consistent with Vaush's idea of the world, which is movies. I remember I watched him, I think it was in a debate with Destiny. It could have been about Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't really remember. But he mentioned some weird thing about, or maybe it was a gun argument. He made some weird thing, like it was some bizarre perspective. He's like, have you ever watched like a superhero movie and then they got all the guys have guns at the superheroes and they don't react? It's like that's how people should react when blah 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 blah. It was like some insane perspective, and it's like you realize like the real world isn't a fucking superhero movie. So it remains pretty consistent with that.
For everything I just said. Is because I think your comment actually reveals a lot about you and your feelings and opinions towards women, female sexuality, and femininity.
She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed.
Vaush, okay, can you see why I think you and a lot of far-left blokes are genuine misogynists? Can you see how you're coming across? Because I'll tell you how I'm reading this. I make a video saying there is strength and power in femininity, and your response is to imply that because I value femininity, I don't respect myself and must be nothing more than a dumb slut who must want to be sexually harassed and degraded by men. I don't think that's an unfair interpretation of your attitude. I really don't. Seriously, how else am I supposed to read that? What else could you have possibly meant by that? Please explain. This just shows how little respect you have for femininity, which is quite sad, really. Vaush, I'm going to explain something to you. And I know you don't like me, understatement, but separate it out for a minute and listen to what I'm saying, because there are a lot of women who agree with me, so do them the courtesy of listening for their...
Why do you think Vaush doesn't like her? Is it because he disagrees with her? Or you think it's because like she's a stronger woman, and Vaush doesn't respond well to stronger women? What do you think it is?
Sake, not
Vaush,
mine.
Yeah. That's the new way.
Believing that women
Vaush
don't need to be like men in order to have value, and believing it's okay for women to embrace being feminine, does not make me or other women stupid bimbos who only want to be sexualized and are too stupid to see their own exploitation. Femininity does not equal weakness, stupidity, or a desire to be degraded, no matter how much you might believe it does, Vaush. It doesn't mean we want it really, it doesn't mean we're looking to be harassed, and it certainly doesn't mean that all we want to do is serve men, no matter how much you might wish that was true. My brother and my sister's boyfriend are fairly conservative-leaning, the kind of guys Vaush would probably call misogynists, and I've never seen them look so shocked.
That's a good point. It's not really funny considering if anyone else said it about a woman, Vaush would have most likely called them a sexist and bring up a statistic about how women get sexually assaulted frequently. Yeah, you know, that's a good point. Like, I wonder... Like, what you're saying is that Vaush would have called this Vaush out, is what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, that's actually fair. He probably would. He probably would call this version of Vaush out. And then that would... Yeah.
When he heard he'd said that, my sister's boyfriend's jaw hit the floor. He didn't shut his mouth for a while. His reaction was actually quite funny. But because they don't hate women, and they would never dream of saying anything like that to a woman, no matter how much they disliked her, that she wanted to be sexually harassed because of what she was wearing or her opinions. True. And according to Vaush's worldview, they're supposed to be the sexist ones. They truly could not get their heads around how someone claiming to stand for women's rights could say something like that. I didn't find it that surprising, because I've met men like this before, who claim to be feminists, but who really don't think much of women. I think there's a lot of disdain for femininity on the left, and I don't want to be harsh, but I...
Yeah, Vaush, believe all women! Oh! No, but in all honesty, it is so interesting. Like, for me, it's like fucking mind-blowing. It's not really mind-blowing, but... Like, it's weird how, like, often my wife personally, like, calls it that some men are, like, really shitty. And she's like, yeah, this guy's shit. And then I'm like, I'm gonna give him a chance. And then they turn out to be shit. They turn out to be shit almost every single time. I can't tell you how many people that she's called out for that. It's insane. And so it's like, yeah, man, like, it's just fucking nuts, bro. It really is. It really is fucking nuts how often, like, you know, she's correct about it. So, and Vaush was one of the ones she said. He's like, yeah, he's shit. And, you know, here we are.
Here we are. Guys who have those sort of feelings towards femininity to be sorry excuses for men. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being completely serious here. It's simultaneously aggressive and pathetic. And being around it feels, well, whatever the opposite of safe is. Ill at ease.
Jesus.
You can sense the disdain for you rolling off them. You just can. You can feel this really nasty, angry undercurrent, and it's never surprising when they reveal themselves.
Shut up, bitch.
Doesn't Mama got observe behaviors in people as a profession? Yeah, she's a behavioral specialist. She has a. I know that Vaush, I think, has a master's in social work, but my wife actually works in the field, which is a very different experience. You know what's interesting? My wife told me, she's like, you know, my master's degree was easier to get than the bachelor's degree. Apparently her master's was like just repeating your bachelor's bullshit for 2 more years. She said it was boring and she fucking hated it because it wasn't challenging at all. So I guess if you have a bachelor's in social work, you might as well have a fucking master's at this point. But yeah, man, there's a difference between having like a master's or you know, educated degree in a particular field versus actually working in that field.
I have a conversation about toxic masculinity. I see it again and again in male feminists. For whatever my opinion is worth, in the simplest terms, from a female perspective, I would say that positive masculinity makes you feel safe, and toxic masculinity makes you feel threatened.
I wonder what these words mean. You know, like what I would like to talk. Well, I wish maybe I want to talk. I would want to talk about that. You know, it's like what does all that mean? I wonder. Like, what's positive masculinity? I've never heard somebody use that term before. I wonder.
I'm wearing my old school skirt there, by the way, in that video. It looks a little shorter than it is because of the angle of this armchair. It kind of goes back a bit. But you see schoolgirls all over the country wearing skirts like that with those exact kind of tights, these exact kind of tights. And teen girls are notorious for rolling up their school skirts to be shorter, to make them fashionable and trendy. So I'm just wondering if 13-year-old
I figured it was just uncomfortable, but okay.
Girls also want to be sexually harassed when they're in their school uniforms, Vaush.
Oh my
Genuine
God.
question. The ridiculous thing is, I'm not even dressed that revealingly.
Oh my God.
Unless you're an insanely
she's
conservative fundamentalist Christian. I don't think it's really not that inappropriate. I'm wearing the same thing millions of women who work in an office would wear. You could wear what I'm wearing in a professional scenario and it wouldn't be seen as wildly inappropriate. All you professional ladies better make sure your skirts are down to your ankles, otherwise you want to be sexually harassed in the workplace. That's what Vaush says, because apparently Vaush is a caricature of a 1970s misogynist.
She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed.
Yeah, I will say the start of the video was some of the points were like a little weird, like the character thing, but so far she's pumping out bangers.
Like the fucking
she's
the Office
pumping out
boys.
bangers.
I had no idea you had such Puritan sensibilities, Vaush. How very conservative of you.
So typical of your kind to twist the truth, to cloud the mind with unholy thoughts.
Vaush,
Yo, that guy's voice made me horny. Holy shit.
I'm fundamentalist Christian.
Well, she was a whore anyway.
New member of the Western Baptist Church. What I'm wearing will send me to hell like the whore I am.
You really kind of have to think about what whore is.
Now that would be a plot
Jesus
twist.
Christ,
Vaush
what the
joins
fuck is
Western
happening?
Baptist Church. I'd love it if things went that way. That would be a hilarious end to the story.
If you wear a dress that's strapless with a brassiere that isn't, you might be a slut.
Go on, Vaush, join them for a laugh. See if they let you in. Double dare you. I'll do it if you do. Who would they hate more, you or me? Now that
You know, I don't know if like conservative people would really accept the Vaush. Because like Vaush isn't in anybody's book any form of like masculine, you know, not to be offensive or anything. Oh wait, no, I didn't want to do that. Not to be offensive or anything, but like he kind of Vaush is like the kind of guy who like sits in the corner and mopes around, like, you know, he's not like somebody. That's what he reminds me of. Like he's kind of sad and lonely, like truly, you know. I don't know. I'm just saying.
That's an interesting question. You're a far left nutter, but I wear short skirts and I'm into crystals. Who's more damned? Okay, tangent. Sorry, Vaush.
She says she's into crystals. Me too, man. My wife got me into them. Let's do the crystal tour. I got this Jasper dog. Okay. I got this Sodalite elephant. All right. I got a blood dragon Jasper turtle. Okay. I got this selenite charging crystal that they sit next to so that they charge. Okay. And, well, I have this, I think it's a lava rock. I don't know. But also, I have this Among Us stamp. It's kind of dry. No, it's not. It, like, makes little Among Us, if you could see that. You see it makes little Among Us. Fuck. Sorry, hold on. It makes little Among Us's. Can you see that? The little. See? Look at that. How cool is that? I also have a bracelet somewhere, but I'm fat. I don't feel like getting up. Let's get back to the video.
Getting my manners. Let's get back to the video. Where were we? Oh yes, inappropriate attire. Hang on while I've got you here. I've got a bit of a list. Yeah? I'm ready to learn, Vaush. I'm ready to be educated. You teach me how I can be a strong, truly strong, empowered woman. How do I throw off the shackles of the patriarchy, Vaush? You know, because you're so good at that. We'll go through this. You tell me how I'd be a good little feminist. So my list, shorts. What do we think about shorts? What do you think about shorts? What's the verdict on shorts? They do show off a lot of leg shorts. Am I asking to be...
You know what the problem with shorts are for me? I have very large testicles. So I constantly have a moose knuckle. There's no joke there. That just is what it is.
Harassed if I'm wearing the shorts.
You really kind of have to think about what whore is.
And low cut tops? What about low cut tops? Am I a slut who deserves it if I'm wearing a low cut top? What about this one? You can see a bit of clavicle in this one. Now that's very sexual, the clavicle. No man can control himself when he sees a bit of clavicle. Ooh, very spicy.
You know, I will say, you know, it's like when a woman wears a low-cut top, the going narrative is like, don't like stare at them and like sexualize them. But like, if you take a peek, what am I supposed to do? I gotta look. You're just not supposed to judge them based on what, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't judge them. You don't go like, oh, you're looking for, you're just like, oh, you know, you do one of these. Not me personally, I have a little, I fixate sometimes. I think it's part of my ADHD. So sometimes I look longer than I'm supposed to, and that's just my a me problem, and I'm sorry. But now I'm just...
She's wearing a fucking skirt with stockings.
And the yoga leggings, that's the next thing. What are we thinking? What do we think of the yoga? They're very tight, the yoga leggings. Should I maybe stay away from the yoga leggings if I don't want to be assaulted? Would that be your professional advice?
Jesus Christ.
What about swimsuit? I see several problems here with the swimsuit. Yeah, I see what you mean. If that's too provocative.
ADH double D's.
Full wetsuit.
Look at me talking over this woman.
Actually, if you could just send over a list, that'd be great, love. Just send me a list, yeah, of all the Vaush approved female garments that are appropriate to wear. That would be really helpful. Or, sorry, a sheet. Okay. If that would make you feel less filled with irrational rage, darling, I could just wear a sheet and be done with it.
Stupid fucking bitch.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vaush, but I mean, really, you deserved me messing around like that. You deserve to be wound up for that. Don't be so bloody ridiculous.
No wonder she's dressed like this. She's wearing a fucking skirt with stockings. She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed by, like, the office boys.
Behold, a feminist, noble defender of women's rights to dignity, safety, and autonomy over their own bodies. Well, as long as you agree with him. If there was ever a case for tyrannical toxic masculinity, submit to Vaush's worldview, or the rules of feminism need not apply. You're probably just a slut who wants to be sexually harassed anyway. Right, Vaush. Come on, you're gonna have to explain this to me. Isn't saying that like a cardinal sin on the left? Isn't that like the worst thing you can do? I don't know. You tell me.
Well,
your crowd.
Here's the thing. Here's her problem: is that Vaush doesn't care. So I'm gonna explain to this stupid woman what would actually get under Vaush's skin. You ready? I'm gonna say the exact thing that's gonna make Vaush rethink all of his actions. Are you ready for this? Hassan wouldn't like this, Vaush. At least not publicly. So you better stop. You better stop saying these things about women, or else another man that you're desperate for the attention of will not accept you. Vaush. Now, I know you think I'm joking, but that actually is probably the only thing that would make him care. Because you know he doesn't give a fuck that she's upset.
What was she wearing and all that? Isn't that what the slut walks are all about? Isn't that whole thing? A short skirt's not an invitation. What happened to that? Why don't I get that kind of treatment, Vaush? That's not fair. Or am I'm fair game now because I have not even right wing, I'm just fucking centrist-ish politics, so normal rules need not apply. Okay. I really must thank you for demonstrating my point, Vaush. Male feminists only care about the ideology and not about actual women, and they will actively attack women if they're a threat to that ideology.
Do you think he cares about the ideology, or do you think he cares that he can get pussy off of it? Like, honestly, I know that sounds like a stupid meme, but like, I really wonder. Like, I don't know, man. Like, even now, I make some like silly, stupid jokes, and I'm trying to make it clear that I'm joking and stuff. But like, I'm curious. I genuinely am curious. And you know, it's crazy because my wife is probably like the biggest influencer on me becoming, probably, I guess you consider like less male toxic. So many conversations I've had with my wife about like some of the weird shit that I've said before, blah, 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 blah. And like some of the ways that I think, like, let me give you for instance, I talked about this before, but like we were driving on the road and there was construction work going on. And I've told this story before in my chat, but and I remember looking and there was like 5 guys and a girl, and the girl was holding the sign. And what do you think I said? I said, of course, this fucking girl's holding the sign. And I was joking, but I was like kind of serious. You know, she's holding the fucking sign. What are you doing? Fucking feminism. You're just standing there. Right? So that's where I'm coming from. And what my wife says to me, she says, how do you know that she's holding the sign because she's incapable of working versus the guys making her hold the sign because they think she's incapable of working. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, God fucking damn it. And then I started to, and these are like the weird things my wife says to me, where I just like, my mind melts. Because it's so simple, but my mind goes, my mind has actual diarrhea. Yeah, I've told the story a lot. I'm old. This is my war story. So I remember sitting there, and I'm like, you know, it's a good point, because look at these motherfuckers. They're using, like, this guy's in a steamroller. How fucking physically demanding is it to steamroll? And then I was a manager at my job at one point. Excuse me, hold on. Sorry, I had some gas. And I remember times where, like, I was just trying to be courteous to the women, but I'd be like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of this. I'll take care of that. And of course they would accept when I would say that. But then the guys would also too. I just didn't ask the guys, you know? Like, for instance, I was a manager of a cleaning of cleaning the public transportation buses. So I had like 250 buses in my yard. So there are times where like you have to drive through a wash bay, and it could be like a little difficult. If you know, there are times where I was like, "Oh, you want me to drive it through for you?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, thank you." But if I asked anybody that question, they would do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things where like maybe part of it's you don't think women are capable, or maybe part of it is that you're just trying to be courteous, and it's just all these different things. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe those guys were just, they thought they were doing like the right thing, but maybe like it was almost like, what do they call it? Like the bigotry of lowered expectations, I think they call it, right? And it's like, maybe it's like that. So it's just something that's interesting to think about. I don't even know why the fuck I started talking about this, but there you go. There you go. Okay?
Misogynistic as they like to those women, they've deemed heretics. It's about power, not progress.
Power Rangers.
And if you're a far left woman, screw you. Get sexually harassed and cry about it, I guess. You probably wanted it anyway.
Jesus.
You're not progressive, Vaush. You're not. You can't call yourself that. It's ridiculous. Come on, be honest. Just be honest. It's just about power. It's obviously just about power. I don't know. That's just from where I'm sitting.
So my wife is in the chat. She says, I feel like for men like him, Vaush, being a male feminist allows them to maintain power in the progressive system. Does that make sense? It's so funny because she typing that in a delayed chat as the woman on the screen is saying exactly what my wife was saying. But I personally, I don't know. I don't think it's just about power. I think it's about drive. I also think it's about power. I think that part of it is that Vaush is hungry. And frankly, I think that he's just trying to devour. Occasionally, I think he's really just putting in the work and the hours. And realistically speaking, men in general are just trying to take what's ours from women. The Rock.
That's what it looks like. Anyway, I hope this explained to everyone why I find a lot of male feminists creepy. I'm sorry, Vaush, that was rude of me. But if you don't want to be called creepy, maybe don't say that I want to be sexually harassed. I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
Like, you know, like just the short skirt plus like the stockings and the so on.
He's getting horny thinking about it.
Speaking of Vaush not really caring about what happens to women who disagree with him, let's talk about Sydney Watson. I mentioned her in my first video as the woman Vaush listened to Tiffany talk about her assault, and then he immediately responded with, bullshit, that didn't happen.
What?
A reaction which seems a little...
What? I need context. That's horrible.
...opposed to his politics. I should clarify, I'll be fair to Vaush, I don't want to give the impression that they were like in person talking. He was reacting to a video of her. So it was my opinion. This reaction of his was due to Sydney having right-wing political beliefs. This is my opinion. An opinion that has only been strengthened after what he just said about me. It seems women only match if they agree with his worldview. But Vaush took issue with this. He had a problem with how I viewed this. And I'm glad he brought it up, because there were some things I wanted to say. So, firstly, I'd already seen the video of him. He like clarified that that's not what he said, and he explained himself and blah. I'd already seen the video before I did my first video. I had looked up on this. I'd already seen the video of him trying to explain himself after he'd said that about Sydney. So he did a follow-up video where he was like, no, this is why. So I already knew what his supposed defence was, and right off the bat I would just like to say that, in my opinion, it just, to me, just seemed like the most transparent attempt at backtracking and scrambling for a reasonable excuse I've ever seen. Secondly, Vaush, I'm going to tell you now, you're actually factually incorrect. I'll tell you why. So, I just want to add, in his video, Vaush actually thought that I was arguing that we should always believe all women, regardless of evidence and circumstance, which is not my position, but again, he didn't actually listen to what I'd said before formulating an opinion and going off on a tangent about it. But anyway, that's kind of beside the point. Oh, and in the video you did on me, Vaush, you continued to mock Sydney by imitating her crying about it. That was really quite disgusting.
No, yeah, like basically, it's you know that like trope in stories where a person is like telling a really sad story, and then like they're getting near the end, and they're like then they're starting to talk about how they have like an investment opportunity for you. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't afford to have my little cat Whiskers go to the vet. Thankfully, I have a little timeshare off in, you know, Aruba that I'm looking to get off my hands, and I was wondering, like, you know, like instantly your alarm bells ring. Yeah.
Come on, mate, you're better than that.
Was that in like response to somebody's like sexual assault allegation or something? Is that what's happening there? I mean, that would be fucked.
So, Sydney claimed the police refused to investigate her assault because the guy was from a certain religion. I think those are her words, or something like that. To which you, Vaush, said that she was obviously lying, and this couldn't possibly be true because, according to you...
Now, it's a little weird when everyone's talking about their rape experiences, and then one person says, oh, well, my person, he wasn't white, and... well, because of his religion, the police said that the cultural differences mean they wouldn't prosecute him.
Listen, I don't know context, but like, where was it? Was does their race have anything to do with it or whatever? I mean, was it? I don't understand. What?
I don't think this is something that most of the viewers of this channel need reminding of, but
like, let's just say that it was like a Muslim person or something. I don't know what it is. It could have been a fucking Christian person. It could have been a white person. I don't know the context. This would be like this is one of those conversations, I guess you'd call it like intersectionality, how like, yeah, like Muslim people in America are like a protected class. They're a marginalized group. They get shit on more than, you know, especially, you know, Christian white people. But that doesn't mean that there couldn't be issues of, you know, sexism in their community. I don't know the specifics on this, but like, I don't know why would you... If I don't have enough context, but it feels like a virtue signal from Vaush, you know, to be like, so you're just being, I don't know, Islamophobic or something like that. Or I'm assuming it could be a different religion. I'm just saying, that's what it feels like. But it sounds like it could have been a fucking white guy anyway. Like, what is it? I guess I don't have enough context. I don't know.
I really don't think there's a habit of police officers failing to investigate the sexual assault or rape of white women by non-white people. Now, it is...
I don't know. Where is it?
Not statistically impossible that everything she said did happen. That the police actually said, we won't investigate because of cultural differences.
Well, I don't know if that's what... Okay, I don't know the context enough here.
I can't fathom a police officer making that claim. Can you imagine that? Like,
I imagine that that's not what would have actually had happened. Like, let's say she was telling the truth. It's more likely that that was her interpretation of what the events happened. Where the cops were like, there's really not a lot we could do. Maybe they even made an argument about like, this is a religious practice. I don't really know the specifics. But I don't think that they would actively say like, yeah, you know, it's a fucking brown guy. We can't do anything about it. You know, I don't think, you know, usually people are giving their interpretation. And she could have a biased interpretation. It's just, this is a weird direction to go. Again, I don't really know the specifics. So,
hey, I'm a white woman. I was sexually assaulted by a brown person. Oh, well, okay. We won't investigate it though, because they're Muslim. We won't do that though.
Vaush, it's amazing how wrong you are. A quick Google search would show you how wrong you are. So I don't know if you're dishonest or if you've just never heard of the grooming gang scandals, but I'll treat this like you've never heard of them, okay? Because everything you just said has, yes, literally happened, provably, on a massive scale in Britain. I have no idea what things are like in America. Sydney Watson's Australian for a start, and I don't know where in the world she was when this happened. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that what you just said, that the police would never not investigate a white woman's assault if the perpetrator was a Muslim, is mind-blowingly incorrect. And all you Americans, hold on to your horses. Hang on, bear with me, okay?
Well, it's not, I mean, listen, bro, like, it's not even that I don't believe it, because here's the thing, man, like, I've been in so many situations personally where like I've looked at someone else's culture and they do weird shit, or shit that's weird to me, and I'm just like, that's just weird shit from their culture. So I don't know specifically what's happening here, and I don't know what her claim was necessarily, but I could see it fundamentally being possible for somebody like, yeah, you know what, maybe we just don't understand their culture, and then possibly even unintentionally being sexist in the process, when, you know what I mean?
Calm down and listen to me for a minute. What I'm going to say is not a conspiracy theory or something only right-wingers believe. I need you to understand that this is common knowledge, a widely accepted fact in Britain, and this has been widely known about for about a decade now. I was at school when this scandal broke, and I remember it dominating the news for a very long time.
What was the scandal?
This is a fact, not a wacky fringe theory, and a fact that the police admit to. So in Rotherham, in Yorkshire, which is a town, A conservative estimate is that over 1,500 girls were abused between 1997 and 2013. This happened in my county, in Yorkshire, just an hour and a half down the road from where I am now. The police knew about this the whole time it was going on, but they never did anything to stop it. Do you know why they never did anything to stop it? The police never properly investigated or did anything because most of the perpetrators were from, in Sydney's words, a certain religion, and the police didn't want to exacerbate racial tensions. The police themselves, and politicians, now admit this. So yes...
I mean, it's possible, because there might have been like I don't know the specifics, again, but there might have been like a large group of people, like a large, like, I guess you say, like, immigrant population, and they didn't want to, like, stir tensions in the community. I wonder I mean, it's also probable, I don't know the specifics, I could be wrong, that the women were of the same community. It's kind of somewhat similar to, like, what's going on in Alaska, where, like, there's a lot of sexual abuse with, like, indigenous people, and and it's just kind of, like, washed under the board. And some of it does happen from white people, and then some of it happens from, like, other indigenous, like, male perpetrators, you know what I mean? And we just kind of don't talk. It's like, well, you know, we don't really want to rile up tensions, especially since it gets into the whole conversation of, like, some kind of intersectionality, where it's like, oh, so you're going to disproportionately target, you know, this group of people because they're causing violence against this other group of people. Well, now you're just, like, you know, you're being some racist to, like, indigenous people. If there is, in those areas, an issue with, like, indigenous, you know, men sexually assaulting indigenous women. And I'm not making this, like, wide arc claim here, because it happens in Alaska with, like, white people too. I remember, like, a white guy choked, like, an indigenous girl out and then, like, jerked off and came on her. It was horrible, and she got off with, like, a warning. It was insane. I mean, he literally fucking sexually, well, you fucking, I mean, I don't know if you call that rape. It's disgusting, though. It's horrible. But okay, I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't know the specifics, though. For all I know, she's fucking, you know, full of, you know, up her own ass, but okay. You're eating? I'm sorry, bro.
Vaush, the police would actually just come out and say that they won't investigate because of cultural differences. Some of those girls were as young as 11 years old, beaten and raped by multiple men.
That's fucking
Sometimes
horrible.
they doused them in petrol and threatened to set them on fire. I know you don't care what happens to rich women, but even you should care about this, Vaush, because these are not middle-class girls. These are the most vulnerable girls in society. Many of these girls were in and out of care homes. Girls from abusive homes. Girls from the most deprived backgrounds who had nobody to protect them, or defend them, or care about them. Girls who jumped at the first opportunity of what they thought was genuine affection. Girls in the perfect position to be manipulated, taken advantage of, and then raped. Passed around multiple men. You want to talk about grooming? The police failed those girls in every possible way. To say they neglected their duty of care is an understatement so vast it is insulting. South Yorkshire police are an absolute disgrace and have no right to ever again claim they protect or defend anyone. At the time, the police said that these girls were prostitutes, making lifestyle choices. As we all know, there's no such thing as an 11-year-old prostitute, but there are 11-year-old rape victims. You'd think the police...
That's fucked up. It's also interesting how, like, their justification for it was that the girls were at fault. It's like, yeah, they made the choice, they're prostitutes. You know, well, in their culture, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, listen, that just doesn't prove that the other person was making a true allegation, but, like, the fundamentalist arguments that Vaush was using are obviously very shitty.
would know that. Apparently not.
Yeah, she literally said the cops said they wouldn't investigate because of cultural differences. Like, oh yeah, dude, that's something cops love to do. Cops love to not investigate Muslims sexually assault.
That's a very American perspective on police that you're putting on other countries. I mean, I just don't know the issues that are going on in other countries, but okay.
Assaulting white women because of the cultural differences of... Yeah, no, I don't, yeah.
1,500 girls. 1,500. In one town. Not city, town. Just down the road. Just down the road. And Mother was not the only example of this, by the way. So, I have no idea if what Sydney said happened to her happened. I don't know her, and I don't know much about her, though she seems genuine. And I'm inclined to believe her, but your ignorant statement that she had to be lying about the police not investigating due to the religion of the perpetrator, because apparently the police would literally never refuse to investigate the assault of a white woman.
Well, Vaush's argument is that, like, America is like just unanimously racist in every capacity, and they're always going to play into the chain of oppression Olympics. So, like, white women fall higher than, like, I guess a brown guy in this case. So that every single instance that's happening, a white woman will always win out. But that's a really ignorant perspective on the way that, like, you know, different types of bigotry manifest themselves. You know, it is quite possible for like, I guess you'd say, like, white men or police structures to take, like, the word of, like, a brown guy over, like, a white woman. There's, like, so much it's not that uniform. Like, you know, every culture is uniformly sexist in some capacity. So a lot of times guys will galvanize around making fun of fucking women. Like that's where locker room talk comes from. You know, it doesn't matter if you're fucking black, white, brown, or whatever. It's like, hey, let's talk shit about women or talk about how boobies. You know what I mean? And then hey, sometimes you talk about boobies and Personally, I was never into the talking about boobies. We would talk about women though, like oh yeah, she's hot or she's attractive. But it wasn't just the white guys. It's one of the ways you bond. So I'm just saying.
Woman, if the perpetrator was Muslim, is flat out wrong. Provably wrong. Amazingly, arrogantly, ridiculously wrong. Maybe that's true in America. But it's happened before in Europe. It's well documented. It's an accepted fact and one admitted to by those involved.
And this upper middle class, like, British affect right here, this thing that she's doing, I think I speak for most of you.
Whoa, Joe Bartolosi raid. What's up, brother? How are you? We're watching a video about sexisms. Let's get back into this sklido. Let's see if I can do it.
At least a lot of you, when I say that this aesthetic, this behavior, this attitude is contemptible. This posh bullshit is insufferable. Like, it's actually not even like in a political sense. It's just everything about it exudes arrogance and condescension and classist elitism.
Okay.
In a way that I think most people find very, very off-putting.
I like that, like, her accent. Well, I mean, this is the problem, is that she said that it was somewhat an act. So, like, maybe she is trying to put on that whatever. Or maybe it's just an excuse to shit on her.
Yeah, existentially revolting. Right.
Remember when I told you guys that sometimes the accent made people mad? Yeah. So this is what I was talking about. Rare that it meets this level of vitriolic hatred, but Vaush has a lot of feelings, and we must create a space for him to safely express those feelings.
True.
So, I'm elitist and condescending. Alright. I would, however, invite the audience to imagine the levels of arrogance required to watch only a few random snippets of someone's video and then actually thinking you understood their arguments and could speak about it for 50 minutes.
It does sound like the...
Well, remember before we were talking about how if he knew that Hassan wouldn't approve of his behavior, that he would stop it. At the same time, that is a very Hassan thing to do. So he's, in his imitation of his God King Hassan, he's actually doing what Hassan hates. And that's because Hassan hates himself.
The kind of like channeled name that you would have for a person with a very high opinion of themselves.
While we're on the topic of those who have high opinions of themselves, what might we call someone who made a video debunking someone else and spent most of the time not engaging with or even watching any actual arguments, but instead masturbating their own ego, lazily playing a few random clips and then using them to go off on massive tangents in a blatant and clumsy attempt to flaunt their own intellect rather than say anything of value? I can think of a few words. Vaush got very personal about my general demeanour and how off-putting he found it, so I suppose it's only fair I return the favour. He's got this really self-important way of speaking. Like, he clearly thinks the things he's saying are intelligent, but everything he says is so ill-informed, it honestly made me laugh out loud several times. It was like watching someone fight thin air, debunking things I'd never said, arguing against this phantom of what he imagined I believed.
I don't feel a need to watch from the beginning because I have no respect for this woman.
Oh, darling, I don't think we're in any danger of any woman expecting respect when it comes to you. I think that shit sailed a long time ago. But how about watching it not because you respect me? How about watching the whole video so you don't...
Just so that you don't embarrass yourself, and or that you, like, maintain your consistency. Like I mean, as a content creator, you should watch the entirety of somebody's thing for your own selfish reason of not wanting to look like a fucking moron. Like, that's what you're supposed to. That's why I personally watch people's content. It's interesting that as people become larger content creators and they make more money, they do less of what they're supposed to do. I found it so interesting. Like, they don't investigate, like, claims, they don't really look into things thoroughly, and then they don't apologize when they don't do those things. And it is similar to, like, when H3 they'll push those fake rape accusations, and then there was a response from the people that were targeted, like, it was Fresh and Fit that were the targets of it, and they proved objectively that the woman was lying. And he's like, I'm not gonna watch that. And it's like, well, you pushed a false rape accusation, like, maybe you should do your due diligence and actually watch the content. But
make a tit of yourself. Is that a good enough reason? I don't respect you, but I still thought it best to listen to everything you had to say before giving my opinion on it. It was embarrassing to watch. All he did was skip around my video, watching the odd little section here and there, and then coming up with whole arguments against something I didn't believe. And then for some reason he acted all confused and put on this condescending, self-important air of, this woman is not making any sense. This is so dumb. I unironically don't even understand what she's trying to say. acting like his lack of understanding was my failure to make a good point. I wouldn't understand someone's argument either, Vaushie, if I watched a few out-of-context sentences from almost an hour-long video. Why on earth would you expect to? Well, you didn't expect to. You did it intentionally, didn't you? Knowing that you wouldn't have to understand or engage because you're a dishonest person.
Well, I think part of it, too, is he's a large content creator. So to him, it's like, well, I don't really have to justify my standings on anything because I'm big enough that I'm a large enough content creator where, like, I'm not going to get any type of, like, huge backlash. That's really what it comes down to. There's the also, like, the self-important feeling of, like, I'm not going to face any backlash because nobody really cares about this person. I can kind of say whatever the fuck I want. I can have a lazy perspective day kind of a thing.
I think I pricked your substantial ego when I insulted you in my last video, and I think that this response of yours was a spiteful attempt to embarrass me, because how very dare I have a go at you. I also think the fact it was a woman doing it actually really got under your skin.
Shut up, bitch.
Maybe.
I'm not a fan of his, if you couldn't tell. So someone else will have to tell me if this sort of response is a normal thing for him. Surely he's not always this ill-informed and lazy, not with the large following he has. How would anyone take anything he says seriously, if this is like a regular... Okay, occurrence for him, I don't know. Why do people watch him? You'd be bleeding brain cells all over the place. Surely, he's more impressive than this most of the time.
I guess you'd have to ask Destiny. Because I don't know really that much about Vaush other than he's stinky.
Is what I'm trying to say in this, but surely, there's got to be some reason for his huge success. You can't be like this all the time and have gotten there, surely.
Or on the flip side, you think it's because Vaush gets constant bad faith backlash? On what? What do you think that Vaush gets? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, what do you feel? Because her criticisms feel completely reasonable. Like, what's a bad faith criticism that you like an example?
Not. Yeah, so I don't actually need to come up with any counter arguments to Vaush's points, because, okay, they're relevant to everything. How about I just play some clips of what he thought I believed, and those of you who actually watch my video can tell me if this is my position.
What is the difference between her perspective here and like an 1800s misogynist father who believes women should be pure and dainty and untarnished, but like the purity of women is ruined by battle? That's a long-held position to this day and has been for millennia. The idea that women represent some kind of like maternal purity that gets sullied by things like enterprise, commerce, and warfare. That's like a pretty common misogynistic belief that like women should be kept barefoot and pregnant because the rigors of the general world.
What did she say to prompt this response though?
Are too much for their pure souls, and that women who partake in these things are tainted, and that makes them worse mothers and wives. Is that not a common, like, this isn't just like modern misogyny. This is like old school misogyny coming from her. This gives me 50s housewife feminism energy. Yeah, you can go back and look at like home shopping catalogs from the 50s where they talk about like the...
What is this a response to? What video is this a response to? Because I feel like... What video is he responding to? Let me look into this.
New woman, you know? You don't have to be a little pushover just because that's what the fella says, you know? You can be a strong woman of your own. Here, get your own dishwasher. With this dishwasher, you'll have more time to spend with the gals. Don't even care what the hubby thinks, you know? Like some shit like that, you know? You guys...
Where's his full video? Like, where's his perspective on her perspective? Did he post it on his main channel, or does he have it on, like, some alternative channel? I wonder.
You know what I'm talking about, right? I can't ad-lib this. But it's like it's like this very, 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 like, thin appeal to progressivism and women's strength, while mostly just being about reaffirming the pre-existing gender roles. Yeah.
What's the verdict, guys? Does that sound like what I believe? Or is it a total warping of what I was saying from someone who, again, didn't watch it?
Yeah, Mulan was too trans. Guys, she's not a feminist. She wants women to be women and men to be men. She wouldn't like Mulan because Mulan was like a defiance of traditional gender roles.
Now this should really demonstrate to everyone how little he understands my opinions on women. We've talked about Mulan before, guys. We even had a bit of a Mulan scandal.
Another British TERF was mean to me. What is this in?
Is she a conservative?
Oh, okay. So that's the. Okay, so that's where this all stems from, yeah. Okay. Do we gotta have to do our due diligence, I feel, right? Okay. Let's see. We gotta investigate this claim now.
Alright, what is this?
But enough to be a pattern. Which brings
Who the fuck is this? The authentic observer. Do I know this person? Who is this?
me read one of the other things that happened that I did also want to discuss in the video, because I think it illustrates my point fairly well. I'm really putting my foot in it now, but I can't seem to help it. The whole Vaush J.K. Rowling fiasco so perfectly demonstrates what I'm talking about. Vaush, sweetheart, what's the matter?
Okay, if anyone... Hold on, real quickly. If anyone makes an expression like this at the camera at any point, it's legally okay to be sexist towards them. I'll be taking this information to heart as I move forward with this video. Gonna condescend to me? That's okay. I'm going to evoke several millennia of oppression against you. That's fair.
Darling, I'm very concerned. This is troubling behaviour. Vaush, I don't care.
Shut up, bitch. Stupid fucking bitch. Sorry. That was the...
Okay, so I understand the fundamental arguments. Like, hey, if you're going to be addicted to me, I'm going to return that energy. But I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, why so intensely? Oh, so instantaneously. It feels like you were waiting for this opportunity to feel like you could be fucking sexist.
That was the punchline to that. Yeah, okay.
So, as everybody probably already knows, he and J.K. Rowling got into a bit of a spat on Twitter, so much so that it made headlines. And his responses coming from a self-proclaimed women's rights advocate.
Does this person think they're in James Bond? The Authentic Observer does sound like the kind of video title that the desecration of femininity. Okay, yeah. It does sound like the kind of like channel.
I'm not going to watch this whole video. I want to see like a couple of his responses to some of her points to see if he's bad faithing her.
That you would have for a person with a very high opinion of themselves. Is she a conservative, a liberal, or leftist? I became a narcissist. Interesting. What happened to free speech? Probably a conservative. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably a TERF.
Good. What's strange? First off, I just want to say, how the fuck has Vaush, Mr. I see no arguments against child pornography?
So he's already kind of called her a TERF and everything. Okay, all right.
Damn, right off the bat. All right, we can be sexist again, but unironically. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably a TERF.
Good. What's strange? First off, I just want to say, how the fuck has Vaush, Mr. I see no arguments against child pornography, and...
Damn, right off the bat. All right, we can be sexist again, but
well, this is my thing with that is that he made this argument that like to remain morally consistent, that he doesn't see any problem with CP because we use in other systems like to create other goods from other countries they use child slavery. So, like, I find it interesting that you're like, oh, bad faith, you're an idiot. But it's like, you were really dumb to make that argument in the first place, to say, like, yeah, I think child porn's okay, more morally consistent because of other forms of oppression. And it's like, that's always was and always will be, like, a horrible, disconnected argument that you've made, regardless. So the fact that you're just like, oh, you're an idiot for you saying a dumb thing. I mean, I just don't, like, I don't think that, it only really works like that, but okay.
Ironically this time. Damn, right off the bat.
Okay.
I can't believe this chick is in favor of child slavery, because that's the only reason you would like believe that's my position.
See, he's still fucking doubling down on it, as you can see.
I genuinely cannot believe how much
okay.
How much hubbubaloo has gone into I think that owning CP is as bad as child slavery. What a remarkable thing.
It's not really exactly what you said. You said it would be morally consistent. Like you said, you have no you don't see a problem with CP because there is child slavery. And I mean, if we're really gonna, I mean, I don't. Two different things. I don't know. Maybe he just made his point poorly, but you obviously said a very dumb thing. The problem is that Vaush said it to be provocative, and then people are absorbing that provocative nature. And I was like, "What the fuck?" It's like, okay. Is regular sweatshop work the same as sex slavery? No, not at all. I would. This is like a weird argument to make, but it's slavery. Being a sex slave is probably worse. I don't know than being a regular slave. Maybe. I mean, I don't really know. I guess that's why it's like a weird argument to even have. But okay.
To be crucified for. To be crucified for your sins.
Like, if he really wanted to make that point more palatable, he could say, like, I don't, there's so many people will melt down over CP, but they don't give a shit about child slavery. Like, what the fuck? If you guys pretend like you care about children getting abused, but this, that, and the other thing, that would have probably been a better argument. But okay, anyway, let's get to like a point that she's made.
I don't think you can, like, enlarge a YouTube profile pic.
It's possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship that benefits the child. He's also made some questionable statements about
Oh yeah, he did say something along those lines. He said something about how, bro, I don't even remember the specifics. Such a bad it was such a bad thing that he just says such dumb shit.
Oh my god. Yeah, she's got to be a conservative. She's coming out here hard with the shit. Jesus Christ.
I got to find the clip.
Young girls. I also heard he has an obsession with horsecock, and I don't even want to know more details about that one.
He was playing like a fucking Zelda game, and he said something along the lines of, and I could be wrong, about mutually beneficial sexual relationship with adults. I have to find it. I don't know where it is. Somebody would have to send it to me. Hopefully somebody could find it.
That guy. How is he less controversial on the left than J.K. Rowling? Someone's really going to have to sit down and explain to me how the fuck he became a feminist icon, because I am confused. This is also the same person who says believe all women and then went on to listen.
Wait, am I a feminist icon? Who calls me that? Oh, she's a TERF 100%. Yeah, 100%. Wait, who calls me that? Me? Oh, okay. They do.
Something about the child could possibly benefit. If you... Yeah, okay, you'll send it in a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, feminist. Like I am often praised for my sensitive treatment of women's issues. You know, I mean, I do consider myself a feminist. I just never use that term because, like, that term is so ruined. It's so ruined. It really, really is. You know, as far as I'm concerned, most of the prescriptive positions that feminists have been arguing for should be considered like a basic part of being like a default decent person. Like, it's pretty basic stuff, right? Like, progressive is preferable. Hold on, let me close the window. Oh my god. It's just like very, very basic stuff, you know? But nowadays when people call themselves feminists, it's always like they're code signaling for some other shit, like TERF or whatever.
A woman tearfully tell a story of her sexual assault and
oh, this is the Sydney Watson thing. Okay, all TERFs are conservative. She's just a conservative. So there was a Jubilee panel where Sydney Watson, who's this like I think she might be like borderline neo-Nazi. But Sydney Watson was sharing her story of being sexually assaulted, which I was listening to, you know, seriously, because it's awful when that happens. And then midway through the story, like choking back tears, she like, but the rapist was Muslim, so the police said that they wouldn't investigate it, and it instantly, like, the whole thing was like an attack on Muslims. Like, that was the whole.
Okay.
No, yeah, like basically, it's you know that like trope in stories where a person is like telling a really sad story, and then like they're getting near the end, and they're like then they're starting to talk about how they have like an investment opportunity for you. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't afford to have my little cat Whiskers go to the vet. Thankfully, I have a little timeshare off in, you know, Aruba that I'm looking to get off my hands, and I was wondering, like, you know, like instantly your alarm bells ring. Yeah. Looking to invest in some Islamophobia. Yeah, she literally said the cops said they wouldn't investigate because of cultural differences. Like, oh yeah, dude, that's something cops love to do. Cops love to not investigate Muslims sexually assaulting white women because of the cultural.
Is this a is Vaush a rape apologist? Not clickbait. Which video is he watching? Why is it so normalized for people to do reactions to videos and like in this sphere and not have any indication where the fucking video came from? Is it this video? Has the Me Too movement gone too far? Is this the video where she says this?
Most of those people in power are men, then
we're going down a fucking rabbit hole here.
Differences of so I called bullshit on that. I never called bullshit on the sexual assault, only on the cops responding that way. And no point.
Oh, okay.
Did I say the entire story was fake?
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah. All right.
Responded by saying, bullshit, that didn't happen, because the woman in question happened to be right-wing and anti the Me Too movement, and Vaush didn't like that her trauma didn't serve his purposes, I guess. So
No, it was pretty clearly the bit at the end where she was like, yeah, and the cops just love it when Muslims rape white women. But yeah, okay.
It's believe all women unless she has a different political belief. Then the stupid slut is lying. Women's rights until the bitch says something I disagree with. Is that it? That seems to be it.
The interesting thing is that the two things she just said are true, yeah. Believe all women unless the bitch is lying, and women's rights unless...
Okay.
Handle on this channel.
All right, we're going to go back to the video. We're going to have to take what she's saying with like a little bit of a grain of salt, though. I mean, unless he's just completely rephrasing his perspective, it sounds like he was just like, yeah, I don't believe... Well, I mean, it's still possible. I don't know. I have to watch the video. Okay, we'll just keep that in just keep that in mind as we watch more. Like, I'd have to watch that full... I mean, I'm going to have to watch that fucking Jubilee video.
Yeah, I've mentioned several times how I think Mulan is a wonderful example of a strong female character, how I admire her bravery and love the story.
And then we'll have to watch that whole fucking thing.
And I think she's a brilliant way to portray a female warrior. The old Mulan, not the new Mulan. She's one of my favourite Disney princesses, in fact. A fantastic example of female strength. Because I actually don't have an issue with female fighters, which again...
Alright. Jesus Christ. Dude, I feel like we've decided to jump down this fucking insane rabbit hole, but I have to jump down a video. Okay, so now we're back to this video. We watched that video about the claim that the girl had made, that the guy got away with it because he was, like, not white, and he was... Listen. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's totally possible that it did happen. I think that the way Vaush talked about it, he could have been more sympathetic to the idea that it might have actually happened instead of just completely dismissing it. That being said, like, you know, I don't know. The way that she had presented it, it comes off as a little... That Sydney Watson. It does come off as, like, a little convenient. I can see why people wouldn't necessarily believe it. you know, Vaush could have just been more sensitive, I guess, to it. But okay.
Again, Vaush, you would know if you watched the video. You took one look at how I was dressed and heard me say I value femininity, and then immediately assumed I was an extremely conservative right-wing type who thinks women have to be one specific way, and that one way is to only be mothers and wives.
Well, yeah, he basically he instantly assumed that she was a conservative because she would criticize him for things he said, and then that was like only conservatives will criticize me. That was basically what had just happened there. So yeah, okay.
So far off on what you think my opinions are, it's laughable. You have actually decided that because I'm wearing a short skirt and tights, I must hold all the opinions of a Stepford wife. I hope your normal political analysis has a little bit more depth and intelligence to it than that. Because if not, that's pretty disappointing. Vaush also thought, because he skipped to the end without watching the video, that when I talked about femininity being able to grow and sustain life, that I was referring only to pregnancy, and took from that that that's all I thought women were good for, and also that I was grooming teenage girls.
Grow and sustain life, immediately talking about biological reproduction while addressing, by her admission, teenage girls. Literal grooming, yeah.
Vaush, seriously, this is embarrassing. If you'd watched the video, you'd understand I was talking about the symbolic meaning of femininity. How I also mentioned, by the way, how men could have those qualities too. That went right over your head, because what you took from the video was this.
She wants women to be women and men to be men.
Okay, and now we're on to the Lord of the Rings.
I think this girl might be
I'm gonna have to watch her video after this, at some point.
Fake fan.
Why did you assume I hadn't read the book, Vaushie? That's very interesting. It's not because I'm female, is it? Surely such a noble defender of women like yourself would never have assumed a young woman was faking a passion for something typically seen as a male area of interest. You didn't think I was, pretending to be interested in the Lord of the Rings just to get attention from men, did you?
I'm gonna have to watch that at a later date, though. So
I'm not getting the feeling you wouldn't have said that about
the best fans.
I think, my darling, that you just committed what all the cool kids are calling a microaggression these days. Now that's very naughty.
Fought in defense of the Motherkin and Fëanor, escaped the sack of Doriath, host crossfire. Okay, this is some nerd-ass shit. Okay, she fights a lot.
Okay, so yeah, now on to Galadriel. So, thing is, Vaush, I actually addressed this point at the beginning of my video, which, again, is one of the parts you didn't watch. If you had watched the whole video, you would know I am well aware that Tolkien refers to Galadriel as athletic and strong. I love The Lord of the Rings, but I admit I'm no great expert on the greater lore. However, there is actually, from what I can see, some debate amongst hardcore fans about what Tolkien meant when he was talking about Galadriel. References to her fighting are vague, and people seem to be endlessly arguing about exactly how she fought, how much, and whether he meant physically or not, because that doesn't seem to be so clear. Everyone seems to have a different opinion and interpretation of that. Interpreting Galadriel as being a physical fighter in her youth is not necessarily a wrong interpretation, and I even stated in my video that I could be completely wrong.
This is some fucking nerd shit, dude.
Amazon might have handled Galadriel's character with care, that they might have respected Tolkien's lore and made her a believable female character who is good at fighting. Here's why I doubted this, though. The fact that they've decided to give us this incarnation of Galadriel at a time and as part of a greater trend of so many female characters being masculinized is why I was suspicious. This, and also what the show's creators were saying about her, made me think it was likely we would not be seeing a rounded and believable warrior Galadriel who was still allowed to be feminine, but instead we'd be seeing just another hashtag strong female character who just likes to beat people up and is strong just because of that. It seemed to be gearing up to be a case of this Galadriel better than old Galadriel because this one has a sword. And yes, I did find that insulting. I definitely could have been clearer on that, you're right. Not that it would have mattered if I had, because you didn't watch the video anyway. But that's actually sort of beside the point. Despite the thumbnail, the main point of my video wasn't about Galadriel. I used her as a springboard to talk about the value and meaning of femininity, and why I find it insulting that people keep taking on traditionally feminine characters and lazily making them just good at fighting, as if being feminine is not strong enough on its own. But then, you don't think it is, do you?
How is her fighting in a war tearing away what makes her powerful? Isn't that a demonstration of what makes her powerful?
I think that what she's trying to say, and again, I have to watch her full video now, is that, like, it sounds like what her argument is that, why does she have to do something in, like, a male space to be considered powerful in her own right? It seems like a lazy way to write the character. I think that's her argument. It's like, okay, so you have a woman, and it's like, how can we demonstrate that she's strong? What if we put her in a male space? Rather than, like, how can we demonstrate that this is a strong woman? Oh, let's put her in have her thrive in a female space, I guess you would argue. I guess that's, like, what her point is. More than anything else. And that's what it's like, it's coming off to me. I could be wrong. But I think that she's making an argument that it's, like, it's kind of lazy the way that that they're doing it. I think that's the argument that's trying to be made
just
here.
Resubscribed for 4 months.
Hey, thanks for the sub, brother.
You, fat boy.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
She's a pick-me. No wonder she's dressed like this.
Pick me, Vaush, please. Vaush, won't you pick me? In fact, this whole video response was an attempt to get your attention, because, as we've established, I'll take any kind of attention from men. So please, Vaush, pick me.
Shut up, bitch.
Do you guys think I have a chance with him?
Stupid fucking bitch.
I think he likes me.
Existentially revolting.
Probably,
so here,
yeah.
Vaush has done exactly what I was talking about in my last video. I must only value femininity because I'm desperate for male attention. As the feminist chicks like to say, not everything we do revolves around men. It's not all about you, Vaush. It couldn't possibly be because I value women. God, don't be so ridiculous. What could there be to value about women? There's nothing good about women, which is why we have to make them all like men. No, it must really be because I'm dying for male validation. What other reason could there possibly be for finding any value in femininity? And I'm the sexist. The lack of self-awareness is amazing. Do you guys remember when I said that the men who condescend to me the most are male feminists? Remember when I said they are the most likely to treat outwardly appearing feminine women as frivolous or stupid or weak or gullible? The most likely to dismiss them? Remember that?
She's a pick-me. No wonder she's dressed like this.
I don't want to value femininity because I want to be empowered or independent. Silly bimbo like me. No, I just want to be sexually harassed.
She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed.
And then Vaush yet again decided to parody a 1970s misogynist and say this.
Lady, if you want to have kids so bad, get fucked and pop some out.
Goodness me, he's right. Look at me thinking I could give my opinions on serious topics. No, I just need to shut my mouth and have a few kids, stick to what I'm good at.
This is such like, I wish I was a mother but aren't for some reason energy.
That's clearly all I want, and the only reason I'm even talking about femininity in the first place.
You know, I'm going to say again for context, I didn't watch the full thing that he I hate having to like restart these rounds. But it sounded like almost instantaneously because of her normal reaction to the like really suspicious shit that she said before. All of a sudden, like, she was just, I guess, bad faithing the fuck out of him. But, like, realistically, man, like, you said some, like, really dumb fucking shit for views and attention. Like a typical fucking woman, okay? That's what he's done. He said some dumb... he said some dumb shit for, like, attention. You know, to be, like, you know, an epic pogger Twitter individual. Realistically, that's how I'm interpreting it. And people got upset with it. Like, all your fucking takes about, like, you know, age of consent and, like, weird shit. Or not age of consent, but, like, just a weird way you talk about things. And you did it to be, like, a provocateur. And then you get upset when people interpret you as trying to be a provocative individual. It just comes off as, like, really weird. Like, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you should speak more clearly if you don't want people to misrepresent you. Because, like, what you said was really fucking bizarre.
My poor neurotic and hormonal female brain is out of control, baby mad, and just needs a couple of kids to calm it down. Then maybe I'd get off the internet and keep my mouth shut, know my place, that sort of thing.
Maybe if she inflicts her motherhood on some actual children, she can leave the channel alone.
And poor Vaush wouldn't have to witness such an obscene feminine display. He finds it quite disgusting.
Have kids or something.
I'm only good for babies. Imagine thinking I could be taken seriously when wearing a skirt.
She's wearing a fucking skirt with stockings.
You don't help yourself, Vaush. You really don't. The reason I mentioned you in my last video was as an example of a man who claims to be progressive, but who in reality is just incredibly disdainful of women, and you've proved me right at every turn. I'm actually kind of shocked by just how much you're proving it. I'd have at least thought you'd have the sense to pretend to hold back a bit if you were going to respond, but apparently you don't. Yes, Vaush, I do want to be a mother. I still want to work, but I also want to be a mother. Why are you saying that like it's an insult and makes me deserving of disdain? Why do you see that as degrading? Is it because you see something in femininity as inherently degrading? Personally, I'm of the opinion that being a mother is one of, if not the most important and brave things a human being can do, but if it makes you feel better to take your mummy issues out on all women, then go for it, I guess. Also, isn't the definition of a pick-me putting down other women to raise yourself up? I'm getting pretty tired of saying this, but if you watch the video, I made it clear several times that I value all women, no matter how masculine or feminine, that I include all kinds of women in what I'm saying, and that I considered masculine women just as valid. Because they are. I think my video was incredibly supportive of women. The proof of that is the overwhelming number of comments and messages I got from women and girls, from very feminine to very masculine, teens to older women, very far left women to traditional conservative Christian women. A lot of women and girls across the board who generally seem to agree my video spoke to them, resonated with them, and put to words their experience, because there is something shared in the female experience, no matter how feminine or not a woman is. For some of them, they said it made them not feel so worthless or weak or pathetic for being feminine, helped them appreciate the innate value in themselves, and there were a few teenagers who had no idea that the feelings I was describing were fairly common female experiences, and it made them feel like perhaps they weren't complete aliens in their own bodies. But I'm so sorry it didn't live up to your high standards of feminism, Vaush. Sorry it didn't validate you, or speak to you, or even apparently make sense to you. because you didn't watch it.
I have to watch
it. The video wasn't for you. It was for women and girls. You know, the people feminism's supposed to be about. My points about the strength and femininity just went way over his head. Mainly because he didn't listen to any of my points, and all he seemed to take away from the video was that I wanted to go back to the 1950s, get sexually harassed, and, oh yes, how did he put it?
Get fucked and pop some out.
Oh. Some very based grooming accusations, you know, very I can't wait to see can't wait to see it.
So yes, apparently now I'm a groomer.
Literal grooming.
Vaush says so, and I guess he would know. Telling young girls it's okay to be comfortable with their femininity and not hate themselves for it is grooming now. Sorry guys, I don't make the rules. Vaush knows all about how it feels to be a young girl struggling with your femininity.
Well, so it's funny because in the previous segment we talked about how conservatives will call like LGBTQ people like groomers, and I was like, well, if you're going to call that grooming, which I think is a disproportionate word, best maybe you could say they're conditioning kids, which I don't even know if they are. I mean, whatever, it's a social movement, but you know, that's either way. You have to be consistent and say that you're grooming kids if you're religious. You're grooming them into your religion. Okay, what this means to me is that if what she's saying is correct in her assessment, that Vaush is calling her a groomer because she holds, or because he thinks she holds, or she does hold traditional values, logically you have to also say that LGBTQ is grooming in some capacity, because we're just saying that socially conditioning somebody to a particular direction is now grooming, which is insane, right? So he'd have to also, you know, align with that exaggerated term of what grooming actually is.
He knows all about how those feelings can follow women into adulthood and completely screw with their identity. He knows how it feels to be at war with your own body in that way, to feel worthless or valueless or pathetic because you're feminine. Remember guys, if there's one thing we've learned, it's that Vaush's omniscience is to be trusted. Vaush, this might be hard for you to believe, because I know you've stated several times you don't care about anyone, and from the sounds of it, I'm pretty sure you're dead inside. But it is actually possible to genuinely care about other human beings. I care a lot about women and girls. Not everyone has...
I don't.
shitty ulterior motives, Vaush. I love my little sister very much, and I also remember what it was like to be a teenager. So yes, I do care about teenage girls and their experiences, and it is a totally wholesome and genuine...
I don't, because I'm old.
concern for them, but thank you for trying to make it weird, you absolute cabbage. Yes, darling, if you address teenage girls about the experience of being in a female body, it would be weird. Correct. But I'm not a slightly creepy older bloke. I know you're not great with nuance, but are we seeing why this might be different? I'm also not sure how intelligent it is to accuse someone of something that you yourself seem far more likely to be guilty of. Are you picking up on my meaning? I think even those who intensely dislike me would agree that, though I have many flaws, hard to believe, darling, I know, but nobody's perfect. Though I have many flaws, coming across as creepy with children is not one of them. It's just not, is it? Now you, on the other hand, I don't think there's a sensitive way to say this, darling, so I'll just use my brother's words. He said you looked like a sweaty nonce, love. I obviously totally...
What does that mean? Isn't a nunce just like a stupid person in that foreign English language?
Disavow. It was very rude. It was very rude of him. I'm terribly insensitive. But, well, to phrase it another way, for any parents in the audience, me or Vaush, who are you letting babysit? I know it's a tough one. If you had to choose, take him into...
Well, I would choose you because of my internalized misogyny that makes me think that you as a woman is a better caretaker. And also, like, I'm not even trying to be like that guy, but like, yeah, no, I think more people that are willing to admit do see Vaush as a little bit of a red flag. I unironically would not feel comfortable leaving him with my kids. I'm not even like saying that to be like anti-Vaush. I'm saying that because, like, yeah, I would say something similar about Destiny though. Not as afraid, but I would make sure that he knew that the whole house had like a nanny cam in it just to be safe. You know what I'm saying? All right, just so you guys know. All right, got to make sure, just to be safe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can't risk it. Can't risk that for the biscuit. You know what I'm saying? Not my baby.
Think about it. Difficult question. Who's spending the evening with your teenage daughter?
Please, right now, uncuck your dumb shit, lip-cuck fucking S.
Yeah, this is the clip that we're looking for before.
JW brains, and recognize this empirically correct fact that I'm about to spit. It is possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship, and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well. That is possible.
Literal grooming.
Have I made my point?
I mean, listen, personally, I don't know what the fuck that means. I can't do it. Now, I'm sure that I could be more educated on a lot of topics.
Of course, even sexual assault. Of course. However, I don't think that that's true. If you look at it from the perspective, maybe a kid, bro, I don't even know how to deal with this. Maybe a kid, bro, what am I saying? Okay. In the short term, I don't even know if I would feel comfortable saying that. But like, obviously in like a long-term capacity, no. What? I don't know. How old is the kid? What? This is very suspicious stuff. All right, this is why people are like, "What the fuck? Why? Like, how? At what point do people? At what point do like the expectation is to be like, how charitable do people need to be after hearing shit like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, what the fuck is that?
I think I've made my point. Don't accuse people of grooming when they seem far less like a groomer than you and have also never said creepy things about kids. Good rule of thumb, words to live by. Have that free advice, love.
Yeah, well, you know.
I'm so tired of the Professor Flowers bullshit, but I especially fucking hate it when it comes from women, especially white upper middle class women. Because you know for a goddamn fact that this bitch has it better than like 99.9999.
Is that dirty talk from you, Vaush? I think it might be. Go on, call me a filthy capitalist again, baby. Okay.
Listen, I don't know about the specifics of the Professor Flowers situation. I'm not going to really weigh too much in on it.
So I feel pushed to talk about this because he made such a massive song and dance about it, and so did his followers. I think there were several variations of posh tough bitch from them, which very progressive of you boys, thank you. I never even mentioned trans people in that video for a start, only making me agree more with the argument that TERF is now just a misogynistic insult extreme left-wingers have taken to throwing at women they disagree with to get them to shut up. Call me a TERF then if you want. I don't care. None of the words you use mean anything anymore anyway. Call me a Nazi for good measure.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he's going to call her a groomer, then that word means nothing anymore. It's so fucked up that both sides will just use the word grooming whenever it's convenient for them.
Because why the fuck not? You have made everything meaningless and nothing matters. Go wild. So, due to Vaush's little rant about my incredibly privileged upper middle class life, a few of his followers also thought they would let me know that, as an upper middle class girl who could not conceive of the struggles of ordinary women, apparently, what right did I have to speak about femininity and feminism? I don't know why you guys think by that logic that Vaush has more of a right to speak on it than me, but okay. What do I know about the struggles of ordinary people, you ask? Just growing up?
Well, yeah, I mean, what did Vaush grow up with? Money, and he's never experienced anything difficult in his life, right? So, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Not knowing if you could afford enough food for the week count.
It is interesting how, like, a lot of these socialist individuals, Vaush and Hassan, really have never come from, like, a background where they can truly empathize with the points that they're making. Like, it doesn't mean that they're wrong, but it's like, where are you coming from? When you talk about, like, hey, we need to empower the middle class, like, what have you experienced? Because I've experienced, like, I'm not even close to the worst that a lot of other people have experienced, but I've experienced, like, some shit of, like, spending $100 a week on insurance when I did not make that much money, kind of a thing, and, like, just getting, like, fundamentally fucked. So, like, where are you speaking from? You know what I mean? It feels like where's your like a thought? Like, I don't know. It just feels bizarre. Like, you have no personal connection with anything, and then when you speak in a way, people interpret it where, like, you're just kind of virtue signaling.
I grew up with no kind of security. My parents regularly couldn't afford to buy food. One of my greatest fears as a kid was being separated from my younger siblings if we ended up without a roof over our heads, and for a while we were on government benefits. You know, like most upper middle class people. I know I don't give off that kind of vibe. I was blessed with a fantastic education.
It's so interesting. My mom's family, like my grandmother and father used to be on, like, benefits too, you know? And my mom did well for herself, so I'm not even gonna say that, like, I struggled horribly. But, like, you know, when I got a job and I had to pay my own bills and I moved out and I was with somebody who, like, that's a whole conversation, but they couldn't really work because they had, like, what the fuck is it called? An autoimmune disease, and then, like, you're struggling financially, and then, like, you're starting to have health effects, and, you know, because part of it's because I'm fat, and that's my problem, my fault, but then, like, you know, you're using food as a coping. You go down, like, this chain of, like, yeah, man, shit gets tough fast, you know? And I haven't been in anywhere near as bad as, like, a lot of other people. But, like, how the fuck do you have any identification with the middle class when you've never really truly been, like, the middle class? It's just fucking, it comes off as a little suspicious, like a character from the popular hit video game Slender Man, you know? It's just weird. It just comes off as a little tone deaf to me. But
maybe you guys shouldn't make assumptions about the entire life story of someone you don't know, because the fact is, you don't know. I don't even disagree with him. Like, I do consider myself incredibly lucky and privileged. I'm not denying that. I feel very blessed. But what I'm not going to do is let Vaush, with his cushy YouTube gig and immense success, sit there smug as you like and have the absolute gall to lecture me about privilege and the struggles of ordinary people like I'm the one who's out of touch.
I think back to 2021, okay? A time period during which my channel made entirely too much money. And I don't remember a single AdSense.
Come on, man. It wasn't entirely too much.
Entirely too much.
No. Doing all right for YouTube, are we, Vaush?
I guess, did you fall off or something? Is that why you're feeling this way, Vaush? What happened, bro? Hey, me too. After that TikTok ban, baby. Actually, I've been doing better, but that doesn't really matter.
How much you making? A lot more than me, I bet. Are you rich,
Black
Vaush?
border.
Nice. What's that like?
How
much money? How much money do you have right now in your wallet? Is it enough to buy a pony? Can you buy a pony, Vaush? Could you?
He's probably doing pretty well.
Could you buy a snazzy car with the money in your bank account? I could tell you how much money is in my bank account, but the answer would only make me depressed. It's much more fun to talk about how much money you have. You've got to let me know.
It's also interesting too because, like, let's be honest, the content that Vaush and even myself engage in is fucking like low skilled content. If you redo a lot of research for a debate, like, for sure, and I've done like a lot of conversation stuff and like I talked to especially people in my life about it, but like this girl does a video essay. It takes a lot more effort and you make a lot less money usually unless it like explodes. So, you know.
How all that privilege feels. It looks like it's fun. I bet it's fun. Is it fun? I'm glad you're having fun, Vaushie. If you're happy, I'm happy.
J.K. Rowling's in the same position. She lives in a fucking castle.
You think I'm in the same position as J.K. Rowling? I fucking wish. You are ridiculous, mate.
I am.
Oh, I wouldn't be on YouTube if I was. I'd have fucked off to some private island somewhere. Is that just because we both have similar English accents? Okay. I don't even live in a building at the moment.
Was he actually comparing her to J.K. Rowling, or was that misconstrued?
Please, tell me more about my castle. It sounds bloody marvellous. Does it have a moat? I would like a moat. Please give me a moat.
So after I filmed this video, I discovered that apparently Vaush is a Beverly Hills rich kid. Well, Vaushie, now isn't this an interesting
Wait, you didn't know that?
of events. You grew up rich, and I grew up on government benefits.
This posh bullshit is insufferable.
Oh, you brave little soldier. What a hero fighting the good fight. Tell me again how contemptibly upper middle class I am.
This upper middle class, like, British affect right here, this thing that she's doing, everything about it exudes arrogance and condescension and classist elitism.
Go on, mate.
It's a little ironic, because that's Vaush exudes all those things.
Another go about my accent. You must have some more things to say. I'd love to hear them. Tell me how condescending and classist I sound. You might have to shout loudly though, love, so I can hear you from all the way up there on the Hollywood Hills.
Do you know for a goddamn fact that this bitch has it better than like 99 points?
And I actually can't believe this after your little tantrum about how elitist I was. You'd think you'd raise yourself alone on the streets living on bin juice the way you carried on, wailing like a Dickensian orphan with that little faux outrage dramatic performance. But it turns out your upbringing was less Oliver Twist and more Gossip Girl. I don't know how you have the nerve to be disgusted at anyone for being obnoxiously upper middle class. Don't take out your weird self-hating socialist rich kid guilt on me, though I do have a suggestion for how you can deal with it, darling, and I really think this might solve your problems, but you'll have to follow my instructions exactly. I'll tell you what I want you to do, Vaushie boy, and listen really carefully. I want you to take all your moral superiority, all your talk about privilege, all your posturing and your posing, all your faux concern, all your sneering and your god complex about being the saviour of the common man. I want you to take all of that, Vaushie, yeah? Are you with me so far? I want you to take all of that and I want you to shove it right up your ass, you whiny little rich boy. How dare you!
Whoa, you're so triggered. I can't believe women are so emotional.
You lecture me.
Also, why is it difficult to imagine why all women, even well-off women, yes, even J.K. Rowling, would care about women's issues and femininity? A very dear friend of mine is from a very wealthy family, and it still didn't protect her from getting sexually assaulted. Does she not have a leg to stand on then when it comes to feminism and talking about women's issues? Because she's an upper-class white girl? Does she have to keep her mouth shut about issues that affect women because, what, a certain income bracket makes you not a woman anymore and therefore immune to the negatives of the female experience? And of course, some women still have it harder than others. Of course that's true. But women's issues still affect all women. And how about me? Why am I so concerned with talking about the value of femininity? Why would I want women to feel that they had their own innate strengths? What reason can I have for saying embracing their femininity didn't make them weak, that being feminine did not make them worthless or pathetic? I don't know. Could it be because there's a lot of women and girls I admire?
Is she dismissing J.K. Rowling's comments about transgender people? I don't think so. I think what she was talking about is Vaush being like misogynistic towards her. He made like some jokes about how women should shut up because J.K. Rowling said something. I don't know about the specifics of J.K. Rowling's situation. I do know Vaush made a few of these jokes. I'm not super ingrained in it. I don't really care necessarily. But she's criticizing the jokes that she's made, she's criticizing the jokes he made about her, about how she should shut up because she's a woman or something.
Love who felt devalued, powerless, abused, targeted, exploited, humiliated, silenced, or made to feel worthless because of their femininity, and I'm of the opinion that they actually shouldn't feel that way. Just one example, picking at random. Let's take my aunt as a case study, almost beaten to death several times by her first husband, culminating in him trying to shoot her and my then 2-year-old severely autistic cousin before doing everyone a favour and putting a bullet in his own brain. But goodness me, why would I be concerned with women's issues and defending women and wanting women to know their value? Golly gosh, maybe it's because I'm just a lazy entitled brat who wants to wear pretty dresses and just be taken care of, because after all, what does a silly, naive, spoiled girl like me know of the big bad world safe up here in my ivory tower? There's this really disgusting attitude that Vaush and many of his followers seem to have, which I've recently been on the receiving end of, that women they perceive to be of a certain social class or above a certain income bracket don't deserve any of the benefits of feminism. Like him saying he doesn't care about J.K. Rowling's abuse because she's a billionaire. Well-off women still get assaulted, they're still women, like my friend I mentioned. The weird attitude that these women don't really...
Oh, so like, listen, again, I don't know a whole lot about what's going on. I guess the argument here is that like J.K. Rowling has a particular issue that she's had associated with being a woman. And I might be just be going on a tangent. And she feels like trans women who grow up as men, because like go through like puberty, may not be able to identify with her experience as a woman because she went through her development as a woman, which is a conversation that some women feel. And I do understand it because trans women often are and often do have different experiences as women, and there are actually arguments to be made that trans women face things that are worse than cisgender women because they're also trans, right? But I think that the I guess you say the turf experience is just saying like, hey, you didn't experience the same thing as me, how can you identify with me? Which I could see why it would be considered invalidating, but I don't think it makes trans women not women. Because I don't think that you have to have a horrific experience associated with you being a woman to be a feminist. But like, I get the argument there, even if I disagree with it, right? I think it's very easy to just say you're a turf, you're a turf, you're a turf. But realistically speaking, the reality is that like different people go through different experiences. There's a general collective experience from cis women that's probably not going to be an experience that trans women can identify with, but trans men may be able to identify with some of it, you know. And it's a complex world. I don't think that trans people should be excluded from but it's a conversation to have. Does that make sense? Now I don't know the specifics, so I could be going on a fucking tangent. I could be wrong about some of this stuff, but that's how I'm interpreting it. So,
you know what it's like to be women, so shut the fuck up like the privileged, snooty bitches they are. It's actually a really creepy attitude. It's got the same energy to it as those really aggressive blokes who think women deserve to be knocked down a peg or two. Those guys who kind of want to see women degraded, who think maybe they should be roughed up a bit. Excuse you, gentlemen.
Hey, only in bed, if you know what I'm saying. Consensually, of course.
Feminism is supposed to be for all women, regardless of class, race, age, or appearance. You don't get to corner off a section of women it's okay to take your anger out on because you think they've had it too easy and you resent them for it. If that's what you're doing...
I'm just saying, I don't know if she's a turf, but like that argument kind of reinforces my point that like trans women don't have to have the same experiences as other cisgender women just to be considered women in a women's space. But I don't know if she holds the experience that trans women are women, so...
You're not a feminist. You're just channeling your hatred of women in a specific direction so you can pretend to yourselves you're still good people while also having an outlet for all your vile, weird, misogynistic feelings. No, pick one. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Most of Vaush's followers that decided to drop me a nice little message mentioned my accent, and also the fact that I should be quiet because I clearly had never experienced any of the everyday bad things most women go through. Firstly, as we've established, yes, I do know what it's like to not be able to afford food and worry I won't have a roof over my head. The confidence of your assumptions is remarkable.
I think the worst thing that women have gone through nowadays is the fact that like it's no longer socially acceptable for men to just do everything for them. You know, I feel so bad for poor, weak women that like now feminism has made it so you have to make actual decisions in your life. Sad stuff, you know? Like it's just sad. I wish women didn't have to go through that hardship. But you know what? That's what happens, bro. That's what happens.
I mean, why do you think it's reasonable to do that? Why would a wealthy woman not have as much right to talk about her experiences or opinions on femininity as anyone else? You don't get to strip them of their womanhood. You don't get to tell them how they should feel about their experiences. You don't get to tell them to shut up about what it means to be female. You don't get to do that. You don't get to take that from them. You don't get to try and remove the essence of what they are. Not to any woman, of any background. Okay? If she's a woman, she's a woman, and she can speak about what that's like, about what her understanding of femininity is. You're also kind of proving my point in how femininity is seen as weak and frivolous. In me making the argument that I think femininity is valuable, you all seem to see it as me saying women should float around in pretty dresses all day doing what we're told, and that the only reason I must be saying that is because life's been too easy for me. You utter misogynists. You think that's what femininity is? I don't think that's what femininity is. One of the most feminine people I knew was my grandmother. She was born into absolute, and I mean absolute poverty, grew up in an abusive home and clawed her way out of it. Her life was fucking hard, and she was as tough as nails, a will of absolute iron, also the kindest woman in the world, and she didn't need to beat people up in order to be strong or valuable, which really was what most of my argument boiled down to. There was nothing weak about her. And what's not going to happen is you lot equating femininity with weakness, or sneering at feminine women as being pathetic, or telling women the only way they can be strong is to be more like men. Yeah, we're not doing that, and I think most women aren't on board with that, no matter how loudly you activists screech that they are. The disdain towards femininity from you lot was obvious. There was some very telling comment about how I think women shouldn't get their dainty little hands dirty with fighting. I never said that. If women want to fight, they can fight, and as I've stated, I don't have a problem with female action heroes. My argument is that, in general, women are not as good at fighting as men. Really not a very controversial statement. Open your eyes and look at the world. And using that as the main metric of strength on which to judge someone is inherently misogynistic and ignores and devalues the strengths of most everyday women.
That makes sense. That's what I was saying before. Was like, I think what she's trying to say is that like you don't have to measure women to the same standard as men for them to be considered strong. Like she doesn't have to be a fighter to be strong. She could be strong in like whatever feminine way. I don't really know specifically. This is a conversation I'd like to have. about like where you derive strength as a woman. You know, being a good mother could be being strong. A good mother would be strong. You know, just being a good father would be a form of strength as well. You know, so I'm something like that. Obviously, I haven't explored it enough to talk about it specifically, but.
My argument is that turning every female character into a badass fighter chick, because apparently that's the only way to be strong, is an insult towards most women. And that's not to say that the women who do fight don't have value, because of course they do. Never said they don't. The fact you use that wording, don't get your dainty little hands dirty, yeah, it kind of sounds like you're pretty disdainful of women who aren't like that, of more feminine women. Because it sounds to me like you hold masculinity in far higher regard. Thank you for demonstrating that.
Also, I want to add that it also adds another...
Yeah, I guess in like the way that like there's strength in like Game of Thrones, yeah, even though the show ended like shit. Like with the mother, the mommy Stark was like a very strong woman, but she didn't have to be a fighter to be a strong woman. I get what you're saying. Okay.
Whole new, even creepier dimension to his bizarre thing he's got with well-off women. The fact that he's from that kind of background, it just makes it very strange.
I'm so tired of the Professor Flowers bullshit, but I especially fucking hate it when it comes from women, especially white upper middle class women. While she like eats roast pheasant off the back of like a slave that she bought and will be sacrificing later that evening. You know, okay, J.K. Rowling. And this upper middle class like British affect right here, this thing that she's doing.
So it's okay for it's okay for Vaush to be really successful and have loads of money, but he seems to have a problem with women who are in that position too. It's very strange. Mate, I'll be honest, I think your issues with women are really bloody deep-seated. I don't know what the hell's going on with you, but seriously.
Well, I think that his issue with J.K. Rowling is probably the transphobia aspect.
Sort it out. It's bloody weird.
Vaush should be quieter and start apologizing challenge.
Anyway, that's everything. Thank you, Vaush, for proving correct everything I said about you. I couldn't have done it better myself if I'd sat down and planned out an example of the type of male feminist that I was talking about. So bless you for that. Thank you for demonstrating that male feminists resent femininity and want to stamp it out wherever they find it. Thank you for demonstrating your complete disdain for it and disgust for it. There have always been men like this, only now they get to claim the label of feminist. Now they get to be applauded for it, just as long as they're doing it, the women deemed heretics. At least the bloody witchfinders have the decency not to claim they were doing it all in the name of women's rights. I'm sorry, but you can't convince me that if Vaush was born a few centuries earlier, that's not exactly the type of guy he'd be. That's all I see when I look at him. Different labels, same men.
We'll probably all be that guy, you know? A lot of social conditioning, unfortunate reality, you know?
She's wearing a fucking skirt with stockings. She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed.
Well, she was a whore anyway.
Like, you know, like just the short skirt plus like the stockings and so on.
Cloud the mind with unholy thoughts.
She's a pick-me. No wonder she's dressed like this.
You really kind of have to think about what whore is.
Shut up, bitch.
I see you, Vaushie. I see your weakness and your cowardice and your anger towards women and your hatred of women. Wow. I think most people see it. And it's not pretty. Vaush, be quieter and start apologising challenge. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Stay snazzy and look after yourselves. Yes, Vaush, even you.
Okay. Well, interesting video. I have to do a little more research and watch the other video now that she said to see what kind of, you know, what she was saying. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.